service is slow. All right, here we are. We are live and we're just going to dive right in. If you're catching us live or on the replay, we are excited to have you here. We're excited for this conversation. We will look later on the replay for comments. So if you've got any questions, be interactive. We really encourage you to be interactive. I know a lot of us aren't used to going live on Facebook. We're used to being live on other platforms where people really get that interaction going, but we are here for that. We are having real conversations about peptides in general, namely those GLP1/GIP. The generic names are going to be semaglutide or tirzepatide. You may know them by Ozempic or Wegovy. We're going to be telling our own personal stories today. Maybe sharing some stories of customers or clients or friends that we know are using products, and just being very clear that we are not giving any medical advice. We are just having real conversations. First off, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Brenda Roche. Brenda, what do you have to say?
All right. Well, I really just want to welcome everyone here. And again, as Tanya said, remind you that none of this is medical advice. It is for educational purposes only. And I just really want to thank you all for taking some time out of your busy schedules to jump on and have an open and authentic conversation about peptides. But before we go any further, I want to start with a very simple question that many people have when they first hear this topic, peptides, right? Well, what exactly is a peptide? Peptides are short chains of amino acids, the same building blocks that make up proteins in our bodies. But instead of forming large structures, peptides act more like biological messengers. They tell cells what to do. They help regulate things like metabolism, inflammation, tissue repair, hormone signaling, sleep cycles, sexual health, and immune function. And your body already produces thousands of peptides naturally. They are part of the communication system that allows your cells to coordinate and function properly. But over time, because of aging, stress, inflammation, illness, or environmental factors, those signaling pathways just become a lot less efficient. That's where therapeutic peptides come in. They help restore or enhance communication within the body's existing systems. Peptides are not magic. They are messengers. They don't override biology. They optimize signaling within biology. And when signaling improves, functioning improves. And as we continue tonight, I just really encourage you to stay curious, stay active in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking, what questions or comments or experiences you have had. This isn't about quick fixes. It isn't about hype. It's about education, empowerment, and offering tools that help people feel better in their own bodies. Now, we may or may not be able to see all of the comments live, but we will come back and answer those as well for you later. But for those of you that haven't met me yet, I'm a pediatric neuropsychologist. I'm 61 years old. I live with MS. And about 9 years ago, I made a decision to fully own my health. At that time, I was 80 pounds heavier. I was exhausted. I was pouring into my patients and families every day, but physically I didn't feel aligned with the life I wanted to live. So I began a health journey and I lost those 80 pounds. And more importantly, I've kept them off. For the past 6 years, I've trained for triathlons, 63-mile bike races, which I just finished and I just flew back in tonight from Phoenix. I had one this past Saturday. And I don't know what I was thinking, but at 61, I just signed up to complete a half marathon in all 50 states. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm not trying to prove anything. It's because movement makes me feel strong, capable, and alive, and I can actually do it at 61. But even with the discipline that it takes, and even with the training and my nutrition really dialed in, I still have these limits with energy and recovery, sleep, cognition, muscle growth. And as someone with MS, those things matter deeply. And I'll be honest, I was a skeptic, probably one of the biggest skeptics, if you look back on my social media, actually, about the GLP peptides for a very long time. I thought they were an easy button, a shortcut, and a crutch. But for those of you that do know me, you also know I'm a research geek. So instead of staying skeptical, I dove into the literature and I studied the mechanisms. I looked at inflammation pathways, the neural protection, mitochondrial function, metabolic flexibility. And what I discovered really completely shifted my perspective. These peptides aren't just about weight loss. They impact brain health, inflammation, energy regulation, and recovery. And who doesn't need some of that, right? They don't replace lifestyle, they enhance what lifestyle makes possible. So, about 7 months ago, I started microdosing with a GLP, GIP, B12, added some NAD plus, and then some tesamorelin, ipamorelin. Was recently injured while skiing, so I added in some other stuff, BP 157 and TB 500. You don't really need to know about all of the different things, but what I want to talk about is you'll hear about some different peptides tonight. Different peptides do different things, and so they're amazing. And the changes for me have been dramatic. My sleep has improved, my cognition is sharpened, my mood stabilized, my workouts became stronger, recovery accelerated. More importantly, my energy became steady instead of unpredictable. And for someone living with MS, that is not small, it's transformative. But here's where my heart comes in. For my entire career, my heart has been with busy parents, especially parents of children with special needs. I sit with these families every day who are exhausted. Parents who are juggling therapies, IAP meetings, medical appointments, work and home. Parents who put themselves last, parents who are running on fumes. And honestly, busy parents in general are really in the same boat. They're depleted, inflamed, sleep deprived, overwhelmed. Who can relate to that, right? And y'all don't need a shortcut. We need support, real support. And what excites me about peptides is that they can provide that foundational physiological support, better energy regulation, better sleep architecture, and improved recovery. So people can actually implement those lifestyle changes that we're all trying to do and maybe not having as much success, or we've implemented all of these things and we're still not having success. But even if you go on a GLP or any of the other peptides you might hear about tonight, you still have to build muscle. You still have to move, nourish your body, prioritize sleep. Peptides will amplify your efforts. They do not replace it. Now, traditional medicine absolutely has its place. We need it for emergency, acute care, life-saving interventions. But I truly, truly believe peptides are part of the future of proactive root cause regenerative health. Not just managing our symptoms any longer. I did that for so many years, but supporting signaling pathways, optimizing cellular communication, enhancing resilience, and promoting longevity. Again, it's not quick fixes. It's not about hype. It really is about education and empowerment and tools that help people feel better in their own bodies. So at 61 with MS, training for triathlons, 60-mile bike races, half marathons, and I do not say this to impress anyone. I say it because I want every overwhelmed parent, every exhausted professional, every person who feels they're running on empty to know feeling better is 100% possible. And when we feel better, we just show up better for our families, for our work, and for our purpose. I'm just grateful to be here with all of you. So let's stay curious. Let us know what your thoughts are. There is no question that is a dumb question. We may not know the answer to all of your questions, but we will find out. If we will do the research on the topic, we'll address it next week here as well. But what excites me most isn't just what these tools can do for us individually. It's what happens when healthy, clear-minded, energized people begin serving others. We change families. We change communities. We change the trajectory of aging. Because longevity isn't about adding years to life. It's about adding life to years. And so I really encourage you again to listen to what else we have to talk about tonight. Let us know what some questions you have and just stay curious. And I'll turn it back over to you, Tanya.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to hear what Laura have not met yet. Well, technically, Brenda and I haven't met yet, but we have quickly become like family. So that is one of the beautiful things about being on a mission together is you turn people who were strangers into friends or into family in a sense. So, Laura, you're up. Tell us what peptides you're using and why. How did you get here?
Yeah. So I'm Laura. Background is in nursing. I'm going on 15 years in nursing. I currently am working in a cardiology department. So lots of actually seeing this quite a few now with these patients coming in. So, but I am personally on tirzepatide, and I started back in September of 24. And, 2 kiddos later, busy mom of, the 2 kiddos, all the garbage food that we eat at the hospital, all the things. I was 50. So I've lost 50 pounds since starting in September of 24. So I and just feeling so much better, down 50 pounds. There is some hormonal stuff going on. I'm in probably the fun premenopausal stage of life. So I've had to add in some, testosterone and a few other things to help. Hey, be quiet, you. And I also am using some NAD. I just started NAD back. I'm on month 2, I believe. So that's actually, the energy's improved, the mental clarity. I don't feel so tired. I feel like I can wake up and not, feel like it's dragging, first thing in the morning. So that's actually been great. So that's kind of where it started, but it was just more of getting back to I'm back where I was in my college years, which is honestly amazing that I never thought I'd ever see this day again. So, but yeah, feel better, can keep up with these two, so that's kind of my journey a little bit. Short and
Awesome.
sweet.
And so you chose to join our company. We'll name names. It's LEMD. You chose to join the company for financial gain as well as health. So how is that going for you?
It's going good. So I've been with Ellie for about 3 months. So it's been great. So prior to this, I was with a company that sold it as well, but it was in-home infusions and peptides. And so honestly, a lot of those clients have now come over just because of talking with them about, the pharmacy and how sterile it is. And then the telehealth, the portal, that piece of it. I've gotten a lot of those clients to come over and, use our products and tell them how clean everything is and the sterile environment it's put in. And that it's been great. And and then using it for myself, obviously.
So it's somewhat a coincidence that we are all in the healthcare orientation. Have you had clients that have decided to join you as an affiliate so they can get a discount or so they can build income?
They've asked questions. I'm kind of in the process of putting the feelers out there. Haven't had anybody quite yet join on my, my end, but there's good, lots of questions and,
Awesome.
I just keep, so it will come.
Yes. So we do want to make that clear for anybody who's watching live or on the replay. If you're in Laura's network, if you're one of her customers, there is a chance that you could, either get a discount on your peptides or even earn income, what you're using and then some. So a lot of people think that you have to be a nurse, that you have to be a doctor or something, and you don't. And you don't have to be an expert. Our company is with a telehealth, so they do all of the prescribing, they do all of the expertise. We just point people in that direction. I always say, I think it's really neat, like the Super Bowl, right? There was a lot of weight loss commercials and this and that, and it cost those companies, whether it was Eli Lilly or whoever, it cost them millions to get on one Super Bowl commercial. This company that we've partnered with, we're the commercial. We're talking about the peptides. We're sharing our story. So instead of paying for millions to run ads, they're paying us. Our company in not even quite 2 years has paid out $30 million in commissions. So I think that's a big deal. And I love the abundance, the abundance. I love the quality, and I love the commitment and the new products. Like March, there was 2 new peptides released. So if you have questions, live or on the replay, if you're looking for a certain peptide, reach out to who's ever on this live that you're familiar with and let us know. If we don't have it now, there's a good chance we will have it in the future. Myself, I've been here for about 9 months, so I've gone through a lot of the different peptides. There's, like Brenda was saying when she started, I would say I was kind of skeptic, and not really skeptic in the fact that I was for it or against it. I just didn't, one, have access because I don't prescribe, and two, I didn't have time to learn about it. I knew it wasn't something that I could bring in, or it wasn't, you know, my scope at that time was just natural, try to figure out how to do this natural. Well, there's a lot of different products out there now claiming that they're natural GLP-1. And, if we're going to do some myth busting, we know that that's not true. There's really no such thing. Yes, our product is synthetic, it is controlled, it is a prescription, but it is naturally occurring in the body. So I don't like to call it even a medication. I don't like to use that word. I do like that it's regulated. Like, I don't love all the regulation, but if I'm going to a kitchen, I like to know it's been inspected by the state, right? So same with something like this that you're going to use as an injectable. I like that. I like to know that the pharmacy is under scrutiny, that things are done right. So I do like that. And I want to open up this conversation and see what you gals think. You can go back on my Facebook feed. I reposted an article from Dr. Tanya Dempsey, and her platform is called Tick Boot Camp. And she has a podcast, and she's talking about a study that she did with chronic illness and Lyme disease in particular, and how microdosing GLP-1s is helping people. Like, she's got a study out. I love that. In the people that I hang out with professionally, there's some people still really, thinking that this is not the way to go. It's the shots, it's the scare. And I love this gal's her article. If you go to the original article, there's 339 comments, and very few are negative, right? So we've all heard the scares, we've all heard the overdosing stories, the bad side effects, but when done at a microdose level, there's comment after comment after comment of people saying, trizepatide is the only thing that helped my Lyme. Trizepatide reduced my pain by 60%. Like, comment after comment of people saying these GLP-1s for different reasons other than weight loss changed their life. I'll give it back to you guys to jump in.
Yeah, and that is because I didn't need to lose weight. I mean, I did lose some, even microdosing, and it was inflammation, because I tracked my, overall body scan and, all of that. And I actually built muscle, so I didn't lose muscle as well. But the thing that I think is really critical when we talk about peptides is within the company that we're with, it is because it's medically monitored. So because of my MS, and I'm on immunosuppressant medication to go on a couple of the peptides that I was looking at, I had to get permission from my neurologist, to give to the physician prescribing it through LAMD, which I appreciate, because that means what it tells me is they're not just slinging peptides and just wanting my money. They are really looking out for my overall health. And again, as a clinician, that means the world to me. I would never partner with any company or talk about it at all if I thought all it was about the money and about just slinging a product. It really is about health. And there are so many different peptides, depending on what your issues are, where you're at. And in fact, like I have a person right now that's interested, and we just set her up to do a one-on-one consult with one of the doctors, the natural or the chiropractor, but he's a holistic chiropractor that's a peptide whiz, so that she can talk to him about, these are my medical conditions. These are the things that are going on with me. So what would you recommend? And what would that look like? Because I don't know that. And I can't tell her that. And I don't want to, because I'm not her doctor. And so this way, doctors are really looking at that overall. And to me, that goes so much further than all of these, influencers on TikTok or, different places that are just slinging these things and giving this advice. And most of the peptides they're talking about are also research grade. They're not regulated. They're not medically monitored or anything like that. And for me, I like my body too much to put something in it that I don't know what's in it. And the research coming out is amazing on some of the results of all of these. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely, I think back to the beginning of like my start, it really, I noticed the joint pains were going away, the inflammation first, and then, it slowly started, the weight started coming off, but that initial like inflammation, like your shoes felt like they were fitting better, and, your ankles weren't swollen by the end of the day. And so really have seen, the benefits of like the decrease of inflammation. And I even hear it from the patients that, in the cardiac realm of how much even their inflammation is decreased, and, bonus for the weight loss that's coming off with it. But they just, it's amazing how they're feeling. And, it's great.
Yeah, I agree. And we're absolutely not saying, I would never dismiss anybody who has had a not so wonderful incident, right? And I always say that, it doesn't matter if it's, some people have peanut allergies and they have terrible reactions. Some people are allergic to bee stings and other natural products out there. So are there people out there that have had poor experiences? Absolutely. Absolutely there is. And it's one of those things, just like anything, that you don't know what your outcome is going to be until you try it. And I always very openly and honestly say, my husband, he tried the GLP-1s and he did good the first 2 weeks. And then on that third week, he just had, it was even a small dose. He got terrible diarrhea. And if we wouldn't have gone in and gotten him some IV treatment, he could have gotten that dehydrated, because it does stay in your system for a week, and it isn't something that you can just quickly reverse. So that's again why we have our telehealth doctors you reach out to for advice. And I would tell anybody, we don't want to see anybody get to the extremes where they're looking like skeletons and they're losing muscle mass, and the company is really as good as they can be about, we can't make anybody do anything the right way, but we all talk about making sure we get enough protein. Brenda really does some strength training. I try to get some exercise in, and these are things that we have to, just like if you were on Weight Watchers, just like if you were doing any other program, you have to be smart. There are there are people, and again, I don't mean to blame, I'm just one that tends to really take responsibility for whatever I do or don't do. And and a patient has to still be responsible. You have to still be accountable. And there are we know that there's our system is so broken that, you know, in order for insurance to cover things they get overdosed and things get into a a wrong place, and that's real. That conversation is real. There are some people out there that it just doesn't seem to work for. Myself, my weight loss has been super slow, and I knew it wasn't the products problem, it was a gut health problem. And it was time to do a stool test again and see where my microbiome was at. Like, what was going on? Why was my body not trusting in order to release this weight? So that's a lot of what I do. I work with people who, you know, maybe didn't get the results they were looking for, but I always say a healthy body finds a healthy weight. And if a person had 100 pounds to lose, they were not healthy in the first place. So when things start to go a little bit sideways, it's the product, it's the peptide that people want to lay blame on, when we know there was things there were things there were things wrong, or that weight wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, and then, all the perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause and all of those things that as women, we deal with. Because I'm clearly postmenopausal, and just that brain fog and the sleep kind of stuff and all of that. And again, I've been on a health journey and I've done all of the things, but I was still struggling with that sleep and the energy and the muscle recovery and recovery after working out. And since I've been doing the microdosing, it really has made a huge, huge difference. And that's just biology. So it really is just helping my body do what it was made to do in the first place. It's like changing the oil and the filter instead of just putting in oil, right? But not changing the filter at the same time. And so it really is just telling my body again what it's supposed to do and allowing it to do what it was made to do 40 years ago. But because I'm 61, it wasn't doing it efficiently. And so it really, I just think about it in those terms, and it totally makes sense to me.
It does. And I have no evidence, I have no studies, but I truly think that somewhere along the line, the preservatives, the junk, like, broke this GLP-1 mechanism in us. Like, I hate to say broke because, like, from a psychiatric standpoint, we don't want to think of ourselves as broken, but we have to. I can't not see that that's how it looks. Like that's what looks obvious to me, that something was almost even intentionally warped or broken.
Yeah, and whether it's broken or it's just less efficient, right? Because of, like, all the things I talked about, the aging process, or just naturally those things can occur. But I do believe all of the different crazy stuff in our foods and the environmental factors and stress, right? The stress factors that we have in our lives, those really do mess with our overall body and how our body is performing. And so again, what I found with the peptides is it enhances all of the things that I'm already doing, bringing down my stress and eating healthier and exercising and doing all of those things. And this is just like, again, it enhances what I'm already doing and making it easier for me to do it, if that makes sense.
Yes. So, and then our company has got these awesome customizations. So, what did you choose as your additive in your GLP-1?
So I did the B12 when I first started, and then I switched over to glycine. So the B12 gave me a lot of that energy in the very beginning, and then the glycine helped with preservation of the muscle and building of the muscle. So that's kind of what I looked at because that's where I was at. Now there's the L-carnitine also that you could use if you want a little bit more enhancement on the weight loss, especially the visceral weight loss kind of a thing. And I didn't need that. That's not why I went on the microdose. So it gave me energy at first, and then it really is helping with that muscle preservation.
And is the glycine's the one that is said to help with your sleep as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about you, Laura? What do you have as an additive in yours?
So I have the B12. I've been using that for quite some time. I think the next round I would like to try something else just to see, especially probably with the muscle. So the glycine is probably what I'm leaning towards, just to preserve that muscle and just, yeah. So I'd really be curious just because I feel like that you have that option to customize, which is great, that no one else really has. So would love to have that experience, just to be able to see the difference and try that. So
the oral, do either of you have any customers that have done the oral? I just have one male, and he was just too afraid to give himself an injection, but he's done really well on the oral as well. I think he's lost close to 50 pounds.
I have one that just started the oral BP C157 TB500 oral because hers is really around more gut.
Yeah.
And so the research showed that if it's really around a gut, that actually oral can hit that better than even the injectable for that purpose. Yeah. So again, it's kind of looking at, the purpose and what you have going on and what we have that could be. And it is nice having some of those options for people that just really don't like needles as well. Yeah. And the other thing that I think is important because you go on like our website or, and there's a lot of different peptides. There's a lot of different things out there. And we, as you said, Tanya, earlier, we came up with 2 already new ones just this month that we're offering now. And I'm assuming that we're going to continue to offer more and more. But you can't go on 5 of them all at one time because you're never going to know what each of them are doing.
Right.
So it's really like start with one, see what that's doing, get that going, look at that. And then you could look at if you want to, you don't always have to, but if you have some other issues going on, you can then add on or stack on another thing as well. But I really encourage people to not just go on to even more than one at a time when you first get started.
Right. I love the methylene blue. So that has been great for me. I did retail some just over the counter methylene blue at the shop that when people come in, I'm like, nope, I don't give instructions. You're going to have to do your own research. I'm not going to tell you how much to use. So I love that it's a prescription, that the directions are on there. You're not left to wander. So that has really been one of my favorites. It truly is that mitochondrial health. So I love that. I have not reordered on my GLP-1 since we got those new additives either. But I also love that our company listens to us when we have suggestions. At the beginning, our B12 was cyanocobalamin, and all the practitioners were like, come on, we can do better than that. So the company switched it over to methocobalamin, which is amazing. That is, I just love the how in tune the company is with the feedback and all those things.
Yeah, and even with our shakes, because when I first got the shake, it had sucralose, and that's my biggest thing. I can't do sucralose, and they listened as well, and they got rid of that. So yeah, so it really is, again, looking at how they can continue to improve and look at and listen to people in regards to those things.
Yes. Well, Laura, do you have anything else you'd like to throw in before we wrap up this conversation?
No, I just kind of wanted to put in there that, I think that the other thing I've really noticed in this health journey of mine is just really, this has been a space where you can advocate for yourself as a patient. And I've learned, just because of obviously all the years of healthcare and all, people being denied all kinds of things. But this is what I love about this, is that it's a space for you to advocate for yourself and, get healthy. And it's a safe space. You can talk to tons of people. They're here to support you. So that's my, I think that's my biggest takeaway from all of this, is just that I've been able to advocate for myself. I have found my tribe of people that, yep, you're not crazy. You're not losing your mind. This is part of, the aging process, but we've got ways to, help, and, the support has been there. So yeah, that's my.
I agree. And I love that you can use your HSA card or your FSA card. But when you take away insurance and who's paying for what, and you just pay cash, and take that piece out of it, it's just so nice. The company has got different payment plans, and the prices just came down in a world where everything else is skyrocketing out of control. Like, I use professional grade supplements, and I just got an email from one of my main suppliers that says, buckle up, be prepared, prices are going up. So I think that is really unique, that in a world where everything has gone up, they've kept the quality, they've kept our commission, and they've lowered the price for the consumers. That is remarkable.
I ditto that.
Yeah. All right, to close, we want to thank everybody who jumped in and jumped off or was here on the live, on the replay. We will be looking back at the comments. You can join our Facebook group. It's called the GLP1 Roundtable, and the replays will be housed there as well. So thank you for joining, ladies, and we'll see everybody at the same time next week.
Excellent.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.